We meant to get a good look at the trestle on the west end of Orville, where the former Norfolk Southern, now the Wheeling Lake Erie, crosses over the current Norfolk Southern Pittsburgh Division and Orville branch. Now we're in Rittman, Ohio at Martin and Fritz Memorial Park. Rittman was named for Fred Rittman, head of the Dayton to Salamanca Division of the Atlantic and Great Western Railroad. Now, if you can see in the background, the train there. Now, there's a train in the background. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That train's on the what was originally called the Atlantic and Great Western Railway. Now, here's the thing. The railroad was eventually taken over by the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad. Went bankrupt nearly 50 years ago after a major storm known as officially titled Hurricane Agnes, destroyed the railroad's main line, pretty much rendered a lot of it useless. Well, the railroad went bankrupt as a result. Conrail took over control of the railroad and apparently decided it didn't need to operate trains between here and West Salem, so it pretty much took out the track, and that line here on east is the property of Akron-Barberton Cluster Railway Company. The train you heard in the background is on the CSX main line going from Chicago to Pittsburgh. Interesting note here that CSX, or B&O as it was once called, didn't have much not too many railroads had much faith in their railway systems as far as protecting their crossings like here in Wayne County. As a matter of fact, back in 1972, you could count the number of active railroad crossings. Only 9 that exist today out of 12 that were visible, that had gates in 1972. And today that number is at least over 75 of the 107 crossings are gated. CSX, when it took over the Conrail system, its portion in 1999, decided to upgrade its train traffic and thus decided that all of its crossings would be gated. But during the 1980s, it decided that Main Street in the village here in Rittman would be upgraded. Originally, it was marked with a crossbuck and with track indicator and warning lights, which were actually above the crossbuck. A lot of people didn't see it, and which led to numerous accidents. I don't know if any of them were fatal. We failed to mention earlier that Apple Creek Road in 1974 had 2 multi-fatality accidents, which prompted the addition of lights and gates at that crossing. So anyway, they put lights and gates at South Main, and then eventually would do the same to all of its crossings. The latest being, the most recent being, the addition of the gates at the crossing on Portage Street in Chippewa Township. So there's a kind of a brief history of railroading over the last 50 years in Wayne County. I invite you to take a look at the crossing in Creston, which was originally operated by the Nickel Plate, the only crossing in Wayne County on that particular line to have flashing lights and gates. As by 2000, most recently, Wheeling Lake Erie over the last 3 decades has done a remarkable job of improving the crossings that on what it calls its main line. Although ironically, the 4 crossings on the Orville branch and the 5 crossings on the CSX Sterling branch in Wayne County are all unprotected, just marked with crosswalks. Ironically enough, the South Main Street and Orville crossing at the Wheeling Lake Erie originally had warning lights, and they decided to take them down. So again, that's pretty much a brief synopsis, if you will, of railroading here in Wayne County over the last 50 years.